Hello, my name is Len David Livesey. I'm your full spectrum Gnostic. I'm going to be doing my checks and I'll be starting in a moment. Hold on, please. We got to make sure everything is working properly, and we should be in the house, good to go. But I would like to welcome everyone. We're going to have a great podcast today. The house, good and we go. Are good to go. So, my name is Len David Livesey. I'm your full spectrum Gnostic, and this is Knowledge from Beyond. I'm here every Wednesday to give you we talk about the metaphysical. My job is to scare the hell out of you. Today, I'm not really going to scare the hell out of you. Some of you might be disappointed, but I'm going to tell you about a lot of good stuff that you need to know about. And we are going to have some I want to say hi to everybody who's chiming in, and we are going to have a very good show. So, we are talking about frequency and how frequency can change your reality. So, let's go ahead and get started. And as we normally do, we always start back at the beginning. So, a lot of people don't even know what frequency is. So, today we're going to be showing what is frequency. That is what we're talking about right there. Okay. Because if you go back to Tesla, we always got to go back to the beginning. We're not going back to the Anunnaki. We're not going back to the Sumerians. We're only going back to Tesla. Tesla said that everything is a frequency. Everything. And if you want to go back further than that, we can go all the way back to the beginning. Because in the Bible, in the beginning, it says, in the beginning there was the Word, and the Word was God. This gets into the different interpretations of what creation is. Some people believe that creation was God putting together Lego blocks and making creation. A lot of people don't believe that, especially Gnostics and a lot of other people. And Judaism, Kabbalah doesn't believe in that. Kabbalah believe, as the Bible says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. God said something, and then it came into manifestation. He doesn't have to make it. He just say it, and it comes into being. Okay. This is the power he has. This is manifestation. This is what Harry Potter is all about. A lot of people think in Harry Potter movies that the power is in the wand. The wand of Harry Potter has no power. The only thing the wand do is direct the power to where you want the power to go. That is what the wand is used for. Okay. The power is in the voice, in the words. And in the words is how you get what you're talking about. So in this, we have these frequencies. And these frequencies is what people see. Okay. So in the Kabbalah, in Gnosticism, and everything, you can create things not by taking Lego blocks and putting them together. You just need to change the frequency of things. As Einstein said, matter or energy cannot be created or destroyed. Only the form of energy changes. And this, we're going to take a second. Before we get into frequency, we're going to explain, if we could conquer this, what Tesla was talking about, this would change reality as we know it. Because as science keeps telling us, our reality does not exist. We live in a video game called Life on Earth. And how does this video system work is as we learn in physics, everything is made of atoms and molecules. And atoms are made up of 99% empty space. This is something that I was going to write a book about years ago and didn't. I have written 5 books. We're going to discuss some of my books in the near future. But back to our subject, about frequency is something called cloud theory. And we're going to take a little diversion and explain something that might blow your mind. You might have to have a drink after hearing about this. See, cloud theory is about our misconception of the world. Okay. There is no difference between a sunny day, a rainy day, a cloudy day, a clear day, the ocean, a mist, snow, rain. It's all just, the only difference between all of that is how much, how much water molecules you have in the atmosphere and the density of the water molecules you have in the atmosphere. Basically, water is floating in our air every day. It's in our atmosphere. The different density of the water determines if we have a clear day or a cloudy day. The density of the water can condense to the point where it's mist or rain. The density of the water can condense to the point to where it starts to flood and causes a hurricane. There is no difference between the density of water in the ocean and in a river and the density of water that is floating in the air. The only thing that changes is the density of the water molecules. That is what creates our reality. This is the reason why, if you could understand frequency, you can walk through things. Because the only thing that's holding that wall up is the density of the wood molecules that are holding the wall up. And what Tesla understood is, if you can match that density, if you can match that vibration, you could go through that wall as if that wall does not exist. So our reality is just made up of the different densities or the different vibration of similar materials. So like our weather, some people's favorite conversation is what the weather's going to be. It's all about the density of water molecules in the atmosphere. Okay. Is there a lot or a little? That's the only thing that determines the weather. Okay. And when water molecules come together, they can get so dense, like in a tsunami or a tidal wave, they can knock down brick walls and everything. Or the molecules can be so spread apart to where we can walk around as we do on a normal day. But it's the same one element. It's water. It's just the density of the water. The same with us. There is no difference between being happy or depressed or being moody or this or that or whatever. Your frequency or your density determine your mood and attitude. This is what we need to determine. And if we could adjust our frequency and attitude, we could control our reality. The only people that talk about this is the Buddhists. Okay. They understand this to a little bit. But when they get very deep into this, they get very quiet. That's why when those shows, like when you see things like you know, Dragon Ball Z and all of this stuff, they're able to make balls of energy out of the air. The energy is already in the air. They're just able to condense the energy and make it into a ball so they can throw it. Okay. So that is what a nuclear bomb is. They're just taking random elements that, uranium is in nature. They're just condensing it down and purifying it to a point where it's explosive. Uranium is uranium is uranium. Okay. We can't, most people are locked at a vibration that they cannot adjust. Most people are locked at the lower vibrations and they cannot move the lower vibration. They are stuck at a point of low vibration. They are not able to adjust it. They're called being depressed or being in a bad mood. Okay. Because they're locked at a low frequency and they don't know how to change their frequency. Some people are locked at a higher frequency. And those people are who we call the enlightened ones among us, the ones who have these brilliant ideas, these geniuses, these people that's able to tap into their full potential because they are at a very high frequency. But it's the same. There is no difference between a low frequency and a high frequency. There is no difference between a person being happy and a person being depressed. The only difference is your frequency and our inability to change our frequency. We have the same problem as you have when you go to the airport. You got a 2-hour layover for your plane, and all the TVs are locked on Fox News. It's not that those TVs are not receiving 200 channels. They're just all tuned to Fox News. And boy, you wish you could change the channel, but you don't have a remote control. This is the problem we have in our life. And this is what I do. I sell, my main thing I do, besides for doing light work, I sell crystals and stones and metaphysical stones. Stones are tied to frequency. You have some stones, as you can see, there's a color spectrum. That is what working with gemstones are all about. You're working with the spectrum of the stones. Everything in matter, as Tesla said, vibrates at a different frequency. This is why different stones have different meaning and different vibrations. Okay. Now, some of you are going to say, Lynn, this is crazy. Rocks don't have no vibration. Crystals don't have no vibration. They're just rocks. A nuclear bomb has no moving parts. A nuclear power plant has no moving parts. They generate power by pushing rods in and out. By pushing the rods in and out, they're able to control the reaction. And because by pushing the rods in, they're creating there's the density of uranium is increased, which produces heat. By pulling them out, the density is decreased and the heat goes down and it cools down. This is what they tried to tell us about these stories of Atlantis, how their cities was illuminated by giant crystals and all this stuff and whatever. And we're like, yeah, whatever. How could crystals illuminate cities and whatever? What you don't know is that all analog TV had quartz crystals in them. You didn't know that. Okay. Did you know that? That all analog TV, the old-fashioned TVs, all had a slice of quartz crystal in them. Remember the old watches? They used to talk about they had quartz movement because they had a little bit of crystal inside of them too. You didn't know none of that, did you? Because you don't need to know. Remember, we're just cattle. They like to keep us dumb and down on the farm. Okay. But there's a problem with keeping us dumb and down on the farm. This is the reason why technology on the earth keep rising and falling. Because it's just like when Rome fell. When we think today back to Jesus' days in the Roman Empire, we think, those Romans wasn't that advanced. Do you know back in Jesus' day, if you would have went to Rome, the average Roman was living in apartment blocks that was 6 stories tall. They had running water. They was drinking out of glasses. They had sewer systems. They had everything. Rome was very sophisticated. They was bringing water from several hundred miles away into the city. They was doing everything. And then a few hundred years later, they was living in grass huts. And they was drinking water out of the and shitting and getting water out of the same river. See, all technology was lost. And even though we're supposed to be so damn intelligent and smart today, do you know a lot of things the Romans was doing? We still don't know how they did it. Roman concrete. You can go to Italy and visit the Roman ruins. Italy is prone to earthquakes. They have had thousands of earthquakes in the last 2,000 years. The Roman ruins are still standing. The aqueducts are still standing. Our concrete buildings, they collapse every time there's an earthquake. Our highways collapse every time. How come our highways collapse and those Roman aqueducts, which are 2,000 years old, how come they don't collapse? I thought we was so damn smart and they was so primitive. Do you know that the Romans was doing all kind of stuff? Some of this stuff the Romans, we still don't understand. The Romans was doing deep mining with something that they called a screw. Okay, and they had mine shafts that were several hundred feet below the ground. And we say that's impossible because you can't get air down there. But they had these screws that was some kind of way of pumping air down into long shafts. Okay. We don't know a lot of things. Okay. And there's examples of things we don't know about all over the world. It's not only the Romans, but it's all kind of people. In Japan, they have swords which are 400 years old, and their swords never rust. Our steel rusts. How come those ancient Chinese swords and Japanese swords, they don't rust? They're made out of steel, but their steel swords don't rust. And in the Middle East, the people of old Syria used to make swords. Their swords didn't rust either. In India, you have a copper column. The building is long gone, but the copper columns of the building are still standing. Copper to us is very brittle. You make anything out of copper, it's going to fall apart. Those copper columns that was holding up that building is several hundred years old, but there's no oxidation on those columns, and those columns are 100% pure copper. How come our copper oxidizes and fall apart and theirs don't? I thought we were so damn smart and they were so dumb. In Hindu texts, they talk about that's the reason why they got these gurus and things that can live on. I'm not going to say this. This is what they say. They say they can live on one kernel of rice because they can raise their vibration. They can't, because we're surrounded. Let me explain something to you. Okay. If you go to the lake or go to the ocean and you ask that fish, how do you get the oxygen out of the water? What oxygen? I haven't seen no oxygen. There's no oxygen around here. I'm not doing nothing. It doesn't know. It does it without knowing. But dolphins can't breathe underwater. Whales can't breathe underwater. They have to come to the surface to breathe in air. How come the fish don't have to? Because they have gills that can extract the oxygen out of the water and put it in their body. Okay. They have the ability to tap into things. The plants that are around us that we love to grow in our gardens, they're able to tap the energy that's in the air and in the sunlight. How come we can't do that? How come we have to consume food? And food's not cheap. Okay. And we have to eat to get energy. Plants don't eat. Okay. Because we're just like those dolphins and whales. They're surrounded in water, which is full of oxygen, but they cannot extract the oxygen out of the water. They must come to the surface to breathe. We are living in a sea of energy. But unlike plants, we don't know how to extract the energy from the air around us. So we must consume food to get energy. But what some gurus are able to do in India, and what some of these Buddhist monks are able to do, they're able to raise their vibration to where they're able to extract energy. Okay. And we have done experiments on some of these people. Several times we have taken a guru from India and we have locked him in a safe for 20, 30 days. And yes, he might have stuck a candy bar up as you know what, and I had this, that, he had this and that. But there's no way you can hide 10 days worth of food. And when we open up the safe, he's still in there. He's still alive. There's Buddhist monks in Tibet that in the dead of winter, they wear their sandals and their little super thin robes and they climb all the way up to the top of the mountains and they pray all night. And they have taken scientists along with them. And even though it's snowing like you wouldn't believe and it's below zero, snow does not accumulate on the Buddhists and they do not get frostbite or hypothermia. And the scientists have even put measurements on them. And their body temperature do not change. They say they're able to control their body temperature through meditation. And scientists say that's not a miracle because they're just controlling their body temperature. That's not a miracle. Then how come we die of hypothermia and we freeze in the wintertime and this and that and everything else? Okay, if it's no big deal, then we should start doing it. Do you get my point? If it's no big deal, how come I can't do it? And the reason we can't do it is because our vibration is so low, we can't do nothing. See, we've been looking for thousands of years for the fountain of the youth and all of this stuff in ways you can live forever and whatever. Okay. According to those Sumerian texts, to live forever, You have to eat of the tree. You have to eat of the holy tree, and you have to drink of the holy water. We call that holy tree the tree of life. We call that holy water the water of life. But all the Sumerian gods had to drink of the tree. They had to drink the holy fruit, and they had to drink the holy water. That was their way of keeping alive. But that is not what I think. It was a lot simpler than that. Because I have read a lot of those apocryphal books. Maybe you shouldn't be reading those books. But anyway, there's a book called the Book of Adam and Eve. Okay, book 1 and 2. And that books talk about the first night and the first day. And this is why in Judaism and in Islam, the night comes before the day. So you would think, since we're sun worshipers, when we call it the new day, it would be the sun would be shining. But the new day for us is at midnight. For Jews and Muslims, the new day starts at sundown. Why does it start at the darkness? How come it doesn't start with the light? You have to go all the way back to that book of Adam and Eve. Book 1 and 2. Especially book 1. It talks about all of this. Because once they ate of, okay, let's go back. You know I love to go back. We're going real far back. So Adam and Eve was in the garden. They was gardeners. You didn't know that. Okay. They were supposed to attend the garden. God told them, we're going to shorten this story, but God told them they could eat of every tree in the garden except one. That was his mistake. That's the same thing as telling your cat, you can jump on every table in the house except one, and every time you come home, she's on that one table you told her she can't jump. Okay, cats and people have a lot in common. You know what I'm saying, don't you? And as soon as he told them they could eat of every tree in the garden except one, that's the only tree they wanted to eat from. They didn't care about those other trees. They just wanted that one because it looked so good and delicious. Because we're so rebellious. You know, it's just like those cats. Okay, we have the same problem. Okay, so they ate of the tree. Once they ate of the tree, and why did they eat of the tree? Because the serpent, it wasn't a serpent, it was a nagash, a walking snake. Okay, that's reading in all of your Asia, you see, all the dragons are walking. They're not crawling, they're all walking. They're all nagashes. And in Thailand, they worship with the nagash, the walking snake. Okay, and all of Asia. Now, he said, is it true when you eat of the tree you will die? Eve said yes. The Nagai said no. When you eat from the tree, your eyes will be open and you will know as God. Now, this is what is the difference between, I'm going to get some people mad again, I hate to say this, between our book and that other book. Okay. You know, I read both of them. I read the Bible and I read the Demonic Bible. There's a lot of books I read. Maybe my hands are shaky over. Okay. In that one book, it talks about how great Adam and Eve had it until they ate from the tree. In that other books, it talk about how they was prisoners in the garden and they wasn't happy. And when they ate of the tree, they had knowledge and their eyes was open and they was set free. This is what some people try to tell us, try to tell me, about how happy we had it when we were slaves and how happy we was and this and that and whatever. And now we're lazy. This and you get what I'm saying, don't you? And we can't remember those good old days. We tried really hard. We just can't remember those good old days. Okay. Because It depends on your perspective. But Adam and Eve ate of the tree because they wanted to be free. They wanted to have knowledge. They wanted to be as God. This is why back when we were slaves, we would risk our lives to learn how to read and write. Because we wanted to advance. We wanted to progress. We wanted to move forward. Okay. And when Adam ate of the tree in the garden, their eyes was open. The next and darkness fell up. Okay, and the next morning, we're skipping because I'm going to go back to this. God came looking for them. He called them and they did not come. And he said, he finally found them in the garden. He said, didn't you hear me calling you? How come you did not come when I called you? They said, because we was afraid and we was naked. He said, who told you you was naked? And did you eat from that tree? Because they didn't know they was naked before. They only knew they was naked after they ate of the tree. That's the reason God had to close them. Because after they ate of the tree, when the sun went down, they was covered in darkness and they was cold. They didn't know what darkness was. They didn't know what cold was. Isn't that amazing? That's the reason he clothed them with animal skin and gave and they was given fire to keep them warm. How come they didn't need fire to keep them warm before? Amazing. And in the morning, and it talks about in the book of Adam and Eve, but that they was put in the cave of treasure, which was a cave that was full of gems. Okay. And the cave would glimmer. Okay. And in the morning, when the sun came up, they saw the sun come up and they ran and hid because they thought God was coming to punish them. And they could feel the heat coming from the sun and they thought it was the wrath of God. What is that all about? You mean they never seen the sun come up before? This is why you had the first night before you had the first day. Because after they ate from the tree, it got dark and they was cold. The night came first. The first night came before the first day. They didn't know what the sun was. They thought the sun was God coming with his wrath to punish them. But this is repeated in the book of Revelation. That says once in the new system, once we eat of the tree and drink of the water, we will no longer know day from night. We will no longer know hot from cold. We will no longer know sickness and death. What does all of that mean? How can you not know night and day? Because I'm going to tell you a secret you don't know. Adam and Eve glowed. That's the reason they didn't know the difference. But if you're glowing, this is why they didn't need to know about night and day. This is why they didn't need to know about hot or cold. They glowed with light and illumination. Their vibration was way at the top. Their vibration was way up here. Probably off the chart. That's why they glowed the way they did. And once they ate from the tree, they fell. Okay. This is why they needed fire to protect them from the animals. This is why fire was given to man. Because without fire, we have no way to protect us from the animals. And there's a joke. This conversation is kind of heavy. I'll lighten it up. You know, the grizzly bears, if you're black or white or Christian or Muslim or Hindu or straight or gay, we all taste like chicken. You get what I'm saying? See, we have to have something to protect us from the animals. Adam and Eve wasn't afraid of the animals. Because when you're glowing and giving off energy, a bear don't want a piece of that. Okay. A shark's not going to bite into that. Our vibration is so low now. We're just carne meat. That's the reason if you go out swimming in the ocean or do everything, or out those coyotes out there, our vibration is so low now. This is why if we want to get up to the fourth and fifth dimension, we got to get our vibration back up. And why did our vibration fall? Oh, because of having eaten of the tree. That's not the only thing. See, the Bible's in code. A Gnostic, which we're going to have a meeting about later too, Gnosticism means that you have a key and you're able to unlock things. Without a key, you can read that book all day and you don't have slice idea what you're talking about. Okay, because you're lacking the key. Okay. So let me tell you some insight. Okay. It says in the Bible, of every tree in the garden you can eat. Adam and Eve only ate of the trees. It was only after they sinned that they start eating of the ground. Did you know that? And then later, they started to kill animals. All of that is what pulls your vibration down. They did it on purpose. We do a lot of things that pull our vibration down. Alcohol, drugs, not getting enough sleep, worrying about all kind of crazy stuff, having all kind of drama in our lives, yelling and screaming and fighting. All this stuff pulls your vibration down. Did you know that? So, Lynn, are you saying we should all be vegetarians? Is that what you're saying? Well, I'm not actually saying that. But there has been studies. People that eat. See, our diet is missing things. There's been people that only try to eat a vegetarian diet. And their diet is very lacking of protein. That's the reason to be a vegetarian. They have to eat large quantities just to where they're not thick skin and bone. Okay. So people that have a very strict vegetarian diet, always trying to get extra protein in their diet, because we are not a deer. We cannot survive strictly on a vegetarian diet. People that try to eat a strictly carnivore diet of all meat, super heavy meat, they don't last too long, because we're not a lion. We cannot live on a diet of all meat. Okay. Something is missing in our diet. This is why, as we get older, our body starts to break down. What that is, they're not telling us. That is what is being held from us. But we have a glimpse of what it might be. Because, as I said, some of these people, these gurus, some of these Buddhist monks that are very high and very advanced, some of these people are extreme ages. And they don't look it. Because since they're able to bring energy into their body, not just through food, they're not able to tap into everything that we're lacking, but they're able to tap into some of it. But our diet is missing something. And the people that made us, what do you mean the people that made us? See, we're not native. That's the reason why you don't see cats and dogs having midwives to have babies. You don't see dogs and cats having chiropractors because we're not native to this planet. Okay. This is why you don't see animals having allergies and things like that, and they can't touch the grass because, okay, why are we allergic to our own planet if we are native to this planet? Because we're not from here. We was brought here. And to keep us under control, they're keeping certain elements away from us that we need to maintain our body. This is why when you go back to the book of Enki, it talked about when the first Adam was made, or the Alpha was made. And when he was taken to meet him, and he had to wear the tight suit, and he was taken, and he was taken up, and he saw the circle of the earth, and he saw the 4 watchtowers of the earth. We still don't know what that means, but anyway, we're still trying to figure that one out. But anyway, when he was taken, he was not allowed to partake of the fruit or the water. And they asked, why is he not allowed? And the answer was, because he was not created to be one of us. He was created to serve us. That is where we are. But times be a changing. We are at the end of the cycle. We are going back into the golden age. We was supposed to elevate ourselves to cross over to the new system, the age of Aquarius, the age of the goddess, whatever you want to call it. We was supposed to cross over. And the last 4 times we went around this racetrack, humanity, that's why they say we have been here for 100,000 years, 4 times. Because there's a polar shift every 25,000, actually 26,000 years. There's a polar shift. And there's the big destruction. We have been through 4 of those. Every time we have not made it, we have fallen back. And we have been reduced to a new Stone Age and had to start over. But this time they're going to let us cross. Not because we're worthy. We're definitely not worthy. Okay. They're going to allow us to cross. They're even going to assist us to cross. But nothing's for free. We read in those books about how the gods used to live among man. They want to go back to the good old days. And this is what they're going to try to do. Right now, we are so backwards that if they came back today, it would be as if we're in another stone age. That's why they are going to try to raise our vibration. They need to get us up there because they're tired. They're tired of us being our servants and this and that. Some of them still want to serve over us. But what a lot of them want to do is they're looking for a new word. They're looking for oneness with us. And we have to start climbing up the scale. We are so low on the totem pole. We have to get to that enlightenment level. And a lot of us is near the bottom of the scale. And before they allowed certain people to cross, now they're going to try to cross society as a whole. So it's not about Len Livesey getting to the top, or that guru in India getting to the top, or that person in Tibet getting to the top. They need all of society to get to the top. That's going to be a heavy lift right there. That's going to be extremely heavy. This is what we need to prepare for. We need to do our part. I'm ready. Are you ready? Or are you happy at the bottom? But I'm tired of the fighting and the yelling and the screaming and the hollering and the violence and the this and that. In Texas, later on this year, they're going to make it where everybody can carry a gun, and everybody, you don't need no training. You go to everything, and says everyone is going to have a gun. There ain't going to be no war or trouble because everybody's going to be armed. I don't want to live in the old Wild Wild West days. If you read those books, everyone had a gun, and the old West was very violent. This is not the future that they promised us. Not a promise of us killing each other. Okay. We want an age of enlightenment. We want to be able to cross. This is why so many people, this was the reason why for hundreds of years, back to black again, we've been rioting and demonstrating and doing everything because we wanted our little piece of the pie. I want my piece of enlightenment. For all of you bottom dwellers down there, y'all can just go ahead and have your beer bashes and everything and shootouts and fist fights and everything that and roll around in the mud and you could just have a great time. I'm out of here. Okay. I'm ready. You have to make that decision. That is why you're listening to this podcast. Because you have to make that personal decision. Remember, I told you a long time ago, progression is voluntary. Damnation is not voluntary. Okay. They are not going to push you up to the top. You must choose to cross over. Are you ready to cross? Are you helping your children to cross? We don't know how much time we have. Do we have another year, 5 years, 50 years, 100 years? We don't know how much time. But when that bell rings and time is up, what side are you going to be on? Or are you going to say, I'm not ready? When there's a football game on tomorrow, I'm not ready. I was planning a wedding for next week. I'm not ready. Okay. All our materialism, all this crazy stuff we've been doing for years. Okay. It's mentioned in the Bible that when the end comes, that people will be getting married and being given in marriage. Because they will be distracted and won't see the sign. The government is doing disclosure they were supposed to do it 20, 30, 50 years ago. They're finally dragging their feet and getting around to it very slowly. But our little friends are getting impatient. And if they don't hurry up and do it, they're going to disclose. Okay. You get what I'm saying? They would rather, since our governments are supposed to be over us, they would rather that they do it. But they've been promising over and over and over again, give us another year, give us another 5 years. They're not ready yet, but I'm ready. I want my future I was promised when I was a kid. I used to watch Star Trek and Outer Limits, and I used to watch those shows everybody wearing the spandex jackets and living in like Star Trek and traveling the universe. And I was ready for my space future. Okay. And since we're on that subject, and since I'm almost out of time, we're going to bring up one other thing that we're going to have to learn to do. Okay, because right now we're killing each other over race, over color, over if you're gay or straight, over if your hairstyle is different than mine, over if you're wearing a mask of mine. People are getting shot and killed over mask wearing. This is just utterly ridiculous. This is not even funny. Okay. It's just ridiculous. Okay. We have very quickly going to have to change. We're going to have to go from being black and white and Americans and French and Chinese and all this other stuff. And if I'm gay or straight, or all these other titles we have. Very quickly, all those titles going to need to merge into one title only. To say that I am a human from the planet Earth. Because all that other stuff is not going to matter. Okay. Because when they get here, nothing else will matter. And if you're a tall human or a short human or a fat human or light-skinned human or dark-skinned human, you're still a human from the planet Earth. That is where we have to evolve to. And then as a human from the planet Earth, we have to start moving forward. Because when we start meeting people not from the planet Earth, that's all we're going to be, is a human from the planet Earth. We're not going to be nothing else. Okay? And if we want to end the quarantine of this planet, oh, you didn't know this planet's under quarantine? You know now because I told you. We need to end the quarantine because we want to venture beyond our blue marble. They're not going to let Conan the Barbarian venture nowhere because we're too violent and we're too primitive. Okay. And if we want to leave this blue marble of ours, we have to leave Conan here. They will only let us leave our little blue marble if we are civilized, rational, controllable. Because they're not going to let us bring our war and our chaos and our drama to their worlds. Okay. And if they have to choose between their worlds of peace and our world of drama, war, and devastation, they might just have to push that little red button. You get what I'm saying? And solve that technical problem. Okay. That would be a shame. Okay. So we still have time. But what you need to work on for yourself, this is your homework. Are you ready? Are you ready, as the Bible says, to leave all this materialism behind? Are you ready to cross over into the golden age, into the enlightenment age? Are you ready? Okay. I'm ready. I hope this was a pretty deep subject. I hope some of you, you might need to play this back. Not all the subjects we try to make this deep, but you got to understand that everything is just a vibration. And you are in control of your vibration. And it doesn't make no difference if you got a high vibration or a low vibration. You can control your vibration and you can raise it or lower it. It's not stuck. The only thing that's stuck is you. And I want to be at the top. So, we had a great conversation today. I didn't get a chance, unfortunately, to look at many of the comments because I was in deep. Let me go ahead and see if somebody had a little comment that they wanted to add or anything like that. Let me see. And I would like to thank everyone for attending today. I don't see any questions or anything that someone has. Oh, yes, you can do. There's a comment right there. Can you raise it through meditation? Yes, there's a lot of ways you can raise your vibration, not only through meditation. You can raise it through eating better, thinking better, clearing your mind. The main thing you got to do is get out of the drama. God didn't put you on this planet so you can fight, yell, and scream with your neighbor and beat up people over boyfriends and girlfriends. That's not the purpose of life. Get out of the craziness and start looking towards the light. I'm Len David Livesey, your full spectrum Gnostic. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. I look forward to seeing you next week. And we're going to do it again. With that, I'm out of here. Thank you so much. And as I normally do at the beginning and ending of my shows, I forgot to do it at the beginning of the show. So I guess I'm going to just have to do it at the end of the show. And at the end of the show, I normally fade into the distance. And I'm out of here. Thank you. Bye.